Grand Rising Synchronized Souls, and welcome to your Elemental Soulscope for Aries season. Air signs, this one is for you. Knight, rescuer, athlete, alchemist, we're feeling called to help, to be of service throughout Aries season. And really the question throughout this 4-card spread is, are you doing that and actually being a detriment to yourself? Are you doing that and actually doing more harm than good? And we're going to dive in deeper into this 4-card spread to really see what our soul guides have to say. To remind you all, we are continuing to bridge the gap between shadow work and light work, which means today we are continuing to pull from the Alchemist cards. And we start off your 4-card spread, air signs, with the Knight. And really the Knight brings up questions of loyalty, brings up questions of romance, of service. And I know because we are in that universal year of 6, I know that because at this particular point in time, the energies are really ruled by that tarot card, the Lovers. A lot of souls are thinking about divine union and divine partnerships. But I really want to bring up the question of how are you being loyal to yourself, air signs? How are you taking the time to ground yourself and ensure that your cup is overflowing so that you can actually be of service and actually have your intentions and your impact be in alignment with each other? There is also this feeling with the shadow attributes of the Knight that maybe there may be some allegiance to maybe destructive mindsets or destructive leaders or rulers or principles that no longer resonate with us. So really asking that question of, are there old thoughts, actions, habits, ways of being, versions of me that I am integrating into this new version of being as we continue to move through the spring equinox, as we continue to move into the new astrological year? How can we ensure that we are being of service, yes, but not self-sacrificing to the point where it leads to self-neglect? I also really want to remind y'all air signs that boundaries are a beautiful thing. Right? And I remind myself when I was really making the switch, being the extreme Scorpio that I am, reminding myself that if I was not acting in the best interest of my own boundaries, then I was then self-harming, because I know what I want to experience. I know what I want to feel. I know how I want to be able to move through life. So although I cannot control anybody else, I can manage my boundaries, right? And thus manage my expectations. So again, I really just want to bring in that reminder, if you're truly trying to be in service, being the warriors that you are, beautiful, but how can we ensure that we are creating a very strong foundation? So again, we are not pouring from an empty cup. We continue this theme with the rescuer coming up. And the immediate thing that popped up was Captain Save-A-Ho, right? Are we constantly trying to help everyone? And really just recognizing that if you're trying to help everyone, you're probably not really helping anyone at all. It's really going back to that place of intention, yes, but intention and impact. How can we start bridging the gap there, right? So maybe now your impact, right, is that you want to help, and maybe you are helping, but you can have a greater impact if you were to simply niche down in how you can help. So again, going to those light attributes, saying provide strength, support to others in crisis, right? Maybe you are that type of soul that constantly has that way or that being or that energy to really allow souls to be grounded when there is all of this chaos happening. But in doing so, we're doing so without the expectation of a reward, right? And that means a reward in terms of having somebody just say good job, somebody acknowledging, recognizing, really just recognizing that if we're going into a place of truly being in service, of rescuing other people, we're doing that without that ulterior motive, right? Without that motive of what can I get out of it, or why aren't they reciprocating? That's really when we go into those shadow attributes, really acknowledging that if we are helping because we are expecting some form of recognition, appreciation, or gratitude for how we're showing up, then there is a motive underneath that might not be grounded in that sense of selflessness that you're thinking. So really just acknowledging, bringing that back up tonight, right? What are those intentions? Yes, but what are the impact of your intentions? And how can we be a little bit more intentional about bridging the gap, about ensuring that that those two things are synchronized, because yes, intention is good, but not all intention is good intention, right? Really just acknowledging that souls sometimes do have their own ulterior motives that might not be grounded in the same motives and in the same beliefs and in the same values that you are. So really just shifting that perspective. Yes, how can you help? But yes, we want to ensure that we're doing so with the intention that we're not expecting anything in return. We cannot save everyone. I want to remind you all that if you stand for everything, you usually fall for everything as well, right? And really just recognizing that it is okay to have an internal compass and to have a set of values that's a little different from the souls or the circumstances and the situations that you currently find yourself in. And as you continue to ground yourself in those new ways of being, it will be easier for you to establish those boundaries, knowing that you are shifting and knowing that you're actively shifting into this way that you want to be shifting. That brings us into our third card for this particular spread. And the card that comes up is Athlete. I think it's so interesting that the card comes up because every single time we talk about athlete, it usually goes into that place of physical strength. And the message that I got was really just grounding ourselves in the fact that we're talking about the spirit of an athlete, right? We're talking about that strength, that power, that willpower, being able to say, I'm going to go and get it no matter what is happening, right? So really just acknowledging that if we are, again, helping everybody, and if we're constantly trying to be loyal to everybody, but not most loyal to ourselves first, what then happens is maybe we don't have that drive and that willpower to really accomplish the things that we want to get done. So you can really see how our guides for y'all, air signs, are really asking you to synchronize your energy. How can we synchronize that masculine energy, but also that feminine energy so that you have that physical strength, but you have the physical strength with the willpower, right? With the determination, with the focus, the trust, the support that comes with that divine feminine energy as well. So again, we're really talking about, again, the bridge of the two. I also want to go into the false invulnerability that comes up with that athlete archetype, especially in that shadow attribute piece. Souls who usually focus on the physical strength, they do so because maybe they're not as mentally strong, or maybe they're not as strong emotionally, right? Or maybe they don't have the emotional intelligence that they would like. And really just recognizing that that particular shift that is transpiring is something that you can continue to ground yourself in. Right, is something that you can continue to say, I acknowledge that I'm showing up differently. I acknowledge that maybe in the past, this is the way that I viewed and thought about strength, but now I'm realizing that strength is also being vulnerable, and vulnerable takes courage, right? So really, again, shifting that image. I instantly, for some reason, get the image of a lion, right? So really thinking about, although this is for you, air signs, I think that fire signs coming up, that video elemental Soulscope for fire signs is also going to be helpful, because really acknowledging that the way that we view strength is a little bit different, right? Especially thinking about Leos and that archetype of a lion, recognizing that yes, the lion can roar, but also the physical stature of a lion will also have other animals move, and there's not a lot of work or effort that needs to be exuded. So how can we go back into a place of really owning our own willpower and owning our strength and owning our values, our gifts, so that we don't feel like we need to do as much and put up so much effort, because souls are naturally going to want to help you because of that connection to your divine feminine energy, right? Because of the connection to your soul and how you're allowing your soul to be embodied in this physical body. And that's the beautiful thing about those who physically do enjoy going to the gym or working out, right? They like having their physical body embody the strength that they feel. So really acknowledging how can we shift that, right? To allow your physical body to be simply a representation of how it is that you feel, right? And really moving into that new way of being. The last card that came up for your 4-card spread was Alchemist, and how friggin' fitting, right? Just knowing how many things are shifting, how many things are changing, how you're choosing to show up, how you're choosing to really change what you're loyal to, right? The thoughts that you're choosing to put more time and energy into, the actions and the habits that you're choosing to let go of, and really just acknowledging that all of this means that you are alchemizing right? It's one thing we do beautifully in this Synchronized Souls Inc. community is alchemize, is transform, is integrate, is rise from the ashes like the phoenixes that we are. So really, again, acknowledging that those light attributes is that base motive, being grounded in something that is wisdom, that is light, that is empathy, that is outside of us. And how can we get back to that as we transform? Maybe we have had attachments to old ways of beings and old systems that no longer serve us. But even just being aware of that is something to celebrate, right? Wanting to actually do something about it is something to celebrate. Constantly putting in consistent action to have that be a part of your physical reality is something to celebrate. So I really want to remind y'all to fucking celebrate yourselves right now, because as of right now, you are transforming, and you're doing so knowing that you could misuse the knowledge and the information and the gifts that have been given to you, but you're not, right? You're choosing to ground yourself in motives that are 5D, right? That are grounded in that being of light, in that understanding, in that empathy, in that forgiveness that we say that we stand for. So really just acknowledging how that all comes together. Maybe in the past that loyalty wasn't there, but as you are transforming, as you are alchemizing, you can be that wisdom. You can be the person to sit down and share that knowledge with other souls, knowing what your motives are, knowing what your intentions are, knowing the impact that you could have if you chose to show up in the way that you're being asked to cult right now. Really embrace this new cycle that is occurring for you, air signs. Really embrace this new way of being that's coming up for you now, air signs. Now is the time for you to remind yourself that you can be grounded and still have that flowy energy, that you can have your wisdom and know what you stand for and still be able to help souls that are in alignment with that. We're really going into this place of duality and being okay with the fact that we are shifting between both. We are flowing between both. As always, we're going to wrap up these spreads by simply pulling from the bottom and the top of the deck to see what is a potential blockage and then what is an advice that our soul guides have for us to move through. So to come up first, we have your blockage being Prince. I laughed because this was a card that came up in the water signs video as well. So if you want some more information about this card, be sure to check out the Elemental Soulscope video for Aries seasons, but the water sign. For the light attributes, it comes up as, again, romantic charm, potential for power. And shadow attributes, we go into using power for self-aggrandizement. My gosh, again, when I'm in flow in words, thank y'all for bearing with me. And really recognizing, again, yes, maybe your prince, right, or your princess is coming. Maybe they are on their way, but acknowledging how are you showing up and being that for yourself? How are you embodying the things that you are calling in, the manifestations that you are asking for now, so that your soul tribe, your connections, your people, right, can really recognize the way that you are vibrating and how you show up so they can say yes, right? That is the soul. That is the energy that I've been waiting for, and I'm so happy I found you. So really, again, recognizing that, yes, we're helping other souls, but we're going to ensure that we are building our own foundation and having that be really, really strong so that we can continue to show up in the ways that we feel called. And then the top card in terms of just the piece of advice, we go into child, and the particular child card that came up was wounded. And I say woo because, again, a collective theme. We really are doing lots of child inner healing work, right? Children work, parts work, versions work, and really realizing right now that we are integrating all of these versions of ourselves and letting go, right? Reminding those older versions of ourselves that are stuck in their timeline, in their space, that we have moved forward, that we have grown, that we know new information, that we are wiser than we were before, that now I have boundaries and I will not allow anybody to hurt you because I am protecting you, I am supporting you. So again, really recognizing, right, the light attributes of this card says, awakens compassion's desires to serve others, wounded children, opens the learning and path of forgiveness. Again, recognizing a lot of light workers, right? A lot of healers, a lot of souls who do this are wounded children, right? That there are versions of themselves that have wounded children, and recognizing that we have integrated those versions of ourselves. And that is why we are showing up to help the collective, knowing that it is possible. This is literally the reason why I have this Lightworkers program coming up in July, is so that we can talk more about inner children healing and inner parts healing. The shadow attributes of this card is blames all dysfunctions in relationships on childhood wounds and resists moving through forgiveness. Again, really recognizing as you are stepping into these new versions of who you are, your guides are asking you to release so that you can advance. Release so that you can advance. That means taking stock of the parts of you that are still wounded children, right? Wounded teenagers, wounded adolescents, and reminding them of the fact that you have moved forward through forgiveness, right? Through healing, through self-compassion, through shadow work, through light work, and acknowledging that things are different now. And because things are different, there's no need for us to point all of our attention exterior and to say, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, I was a victim. You are not a victim. I want to remind you all of that. You are not a victim. 70% of souls have undergone something that is traumatic. And the other 30% we'll say are just souls that do not know that they have gone through something that is traumatic. So really just letting go of that heaviness that comes with that word trauma, right? And really just acknowledging that we all have challenges. We've all gone through life experiences that at one point in time have made us feel wounded, made us felt abandoned, made us feel isolated and lonely. And recognizing that as you are coming into this new, beautiful, integrated version of yourself, as you are alchemizing all of those experiences into light and love, as you take the time to dive in deep and take stock so that you can continue to shift, so that you can continue to grow, recognizing that that is a choice. It is a choice that you are making because you're recognizing that you are not a victim. You are an empowered being of light. You are a eternal cosmic soul that has been doing this for some time. Right? I know that this lifetime has been everything in it, right? We've been around the block and back again, and really just acknowledging all of those experiences and not placing any judgment on them, simply holding space, recognizing and accepting them so that we can let them go. As always, I hope that these messages have resonated with you, but if not, take what you need and leave the rest. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing all of your comments below. Have a great rest of your day. I love you all, my beautiful synchronizing souls. Bye, friends.